All right, we're going. Yep. Good morning, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. We're just going to pick up. We're back in Joshua, and something else that I want to go over how we got to where they're at when we pick them up in Joshua. But real quick, Joshua was a typology. I'd forgotten to mention this. Anybody have an idea of what type of typology Joshua represents? Yeah, which one of the messiahs? First coming or second coming? Second coming. He's the lion, which would make Moses the lamb. You know, he's a typology of that. So, real quick, chapter 2, we're going to pick them up. We're in the book of Joshua. We pick up in Shittim, I believe. But go to the next slide real quick. I told you I was going to show you these. It won't be as easy to see, but okay. That's just a general picture. Go to the next one. Okay, this is the area in red, and then the area in blue, Og and King of Shihon, that had been eliminated and conquered by Moses. And then the next one, and then this is the area where this is where we pick up Joshua. They're staying in Abel Shittim. What the heck would that mean in Hebrew? Something El. Ab of El? Shittim. I don't know. And Shittim is going to be a plural, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I no idea. And then the next one. So that's just blown up of basically where we're at right now. And this is where we're going to pick up in Joshua 2. So Israel arrives. You know what? I think I got one more there. Go to the next one. Nope, that's Jericho. You can go backwards. Go back up to where we were. So I'm just going to read through this, and I have a few things. If you've got anything that in your reading stuck out at you, jumped out at you, or questions or whatever, make sure you stop me. I am in the NASB.
Yeah. Meadow of the Acacias.
Meadow of the Acacias. That's interesting.
Yeah, Shittim is an acacia tree.
Meadow?
Yeah.
I would have thought Abel would have meant something else with L, but I guess it's not a compound word then. Okay. So Joshua 2, verse 1, this is, then Joshua the son of Nun sent 2 men as spies secretly from Shittim, saying, go view the land, especially Jericho. So they went and entered the house of the prostitute whose name was Rahab. Now there's discussion as to whether or not she's a prostitute. That's what the tradition has. Unless somebody has a reason, I'm not going to argue with it. And they rested there. But it was told to the king of Jericho, saying, behold, men from the sons of Israel have come here tonight to spy out the land. And the king of Jericho sent word to Rahab, saying, bring out the men who have come to you, who have entered your house, for they have come to spy out all the land. But the woman taken the 2 men, hid them, and she said, yes, the men came to me, but I did not know where they were from. It came about when it was time to shut the gate at dark that the men went out. I do not know where the men went. Pursue them quickly, for you will overtake them. But she had brought them up onto the roof and hidden them in the stalks of flax, which she had laid in order on the roof. So the men pursued them on the road to Jordan, to the crossing place, and as soon as those who were pursuing them had gone out, they shut the gate. So the crossing is going to be somewhere in here, I guess. They went this way. Now before the spies lay down, she came up to them on the roof and said to the men, I know that Yahweh has given you the land, and that the terror of you has fallen on us, and that all the inhabitants of the land have despaired because of you. For we have heard how Yahweh dried up the water of the Red Sea before you when you came out of Egypt, and what you did to the 2 kings of the Amorites who were beyond the Jordan, to Sihon and Og, whom you utterly destroyed. Now right here I found it interesting. Rahab knows about them, knows what their mission is, knows what Elohim they're serving. So the information has gotten out and around throughout the land. So when we heard these reports, our hearts melted, and no courage remained in anyone any longer because of you. For Yahweh, your Elohim, he is Elohim in heaven above and on earth below. Heaven above, on earth below. In the ancient mindset, that's not possible. A God is not omnipresent to the Mesopotamian mind. And yet here Rahab is saying something that to us, we don't, to us, it's not unusual to think of Yahweh being above and below and everywhere all at one time. That would not have come as a normal thinking to the people in Mesopotamia at that time. They had anthropomorphized their gods. Their gods were like human beings. So if they were living up on the mountain, where Zeus lives, he couldn't be down here in the valley at the same time. And if he's in the valley, he couldn't be somewhere else at the same time. In their mindset, their gods were very human-like, just with a lot of power. Well, what she just described is an Elohim very different from any spiritual being or Elohim that they're used to. And this is one
acknowledging Yahweh as El Elyon.
Yes, she's acknowledging Yahweh as El Elyon.
She understands that he's above all these other gods
and such. And that he can be everywhere. Yeah. This is one of those things that I say that if you don't know the culture, we read right through it and we don't think that there's anything. This is a shock in the time this is written. Okay, if you're outside of the Israelite camp, and let's say you're somebody in canon reading this would offend your sensibilities of how you think of gods. Continues, it says, now then, please swear to me by Yahweh, since I have dealt kindly with you, that you also will deal kindly with my father's household, and give me a pledge of truth, and spare my father and my mother and my brothers and my sisters and all who belong to them, and save our lives from death. So the men said to her, our life for yours, if you do not tell the business of ours, and shall come about when Yahweh gives us the land, that we will deal kindly and faithfully with you. It says, then she let them down by a rope through the window, for her house was on the city wall, so that she was living on the wall. All right, go to the next slide. We've got a few to go through here. Now that's Jericho. Remember, there's an Old Testament, New Testament Jericho. So the Jericho of today is down here on the New Testament one. Old Testament, why was that not rebuilt? Well, as we'll see later on, there's a heavy curse if you rebuild it. It's going to cost you your first and youngest son. So it was never rebuilt. Go to the next slide. This is a image of, it's a fake image of what it would have looked like, but you got the upper and lower walls, you got revetments and ditches. It's a very well fortified city. It would be hard to breach and get through with the military of their time. Next slide. Now this is just another version of it, but what we're being told is she lives in the wall. What there were houses built adjacent to her into the walls, or the houses would actually act as part of the wall, like right here. So that's what she's actually being told. And again, this is just a stylized version of Jericho. And so then she said to them, go to the hill country, and so the pursuers will not encounter you, and hide yourself there for 3 days until the pursuers return. 3 days. That number of days, that's a common refrain in Scripture. 3 days, 3 days, 3 days, 3 days. That's an echo of what? Sign of Jonah. Go to the next slide. The hill country. You're going to have Gilgal, and the hill country of Judah is up in this area in here. I think I've got that in the next slide if I remember correctly. Go one more, Caitlin. Yeah, right up in here. So the pursuers go toward the crossing. They go up here for 3 days, up in this area. Incidentally, this is one of the areas where Abraham first pitched his tent. So then afterward, I say 3 days until the pursuers return. Then afterward, you may go on your way. And the men said to her, we shall be exempt from this oath to you, which you have made us swear, unless when we come to the land, you tie this cord of scarlet thread in the window through which you let us down, and gather into your house your father, your mother, your brothers, and all your father's households. Scarlet thread, what's that going to remind you of?
Blood.
Blood of Passover?
Oh.
Yes, the blood of Passover. It's like a scarlet thread. If this scarlet thread is connected to your household, everybody in it, they're going to spare.
Also, Perez.
Yes. Perez and Terah. Yeah, we're going to run into that again here in just a few minutes. And it shall come about that anyone who goes out of the doors of your house outside will have his blood on his own head, and we will be innocent. But anyone who is with you in the house, his blood will be on our heads if our hand is laid on him. They didn't ask who it was going to be in her house. So a lot like Passover. If they're in your house and you have the thread, we'll pass over you. But if you tell this business of ours, then we shall be exempt from the oath which you have made us swear. She then said, according to your words, so be it. So she sent them away, and they departed, and she tied the scarlet cord in the window. Now, is there another instance in Scripture where we're going to see a scarlet thread connected to a harlot? It's already happened at this point.
Is that the birth of the twins?
Mm-hmm. Who was their mother? Tamar. And how did she come to be pregnant with those twins?
No.
What was she pretending to be when that happened?
Yeah.
A prostitute. Who was it that impregnated her?
Judah.
Judah. And how is Judah connected to this story? We'll see that here in a few minutes. The house of Judah is intertwined heavily in this first part of Joshua. So they departed and came to the hill country and remained there for 3 days until the pursuers returned. Now the pursuers had searched for them all along the road, but had not found them. Then the 2 men returned and came down from the hill country, and they crossed over and came to Joshua, the son of Nun. Then they reported to him all that happened to them, and they said to Joshua, Yahweh has indeed handed over to us all the land. Furthermore, all the inhabitants of the land have despaired because of us. And in chapter 3, then Joshua got up early in the morning, and he and all the sons of Israel set out from Shittim and came to the Jordan, and they spent the night there before they crossed. Then at the end of 3 days, there's another 3 days, the officers went through the midst of the camp, and they commanded the people, saying, when you see the ark of the camp, and you see the ark of the covenant of Yahweh, your Elohim, with the Levitical priests carrying it, then you shall set out from your place and go after it. So this is going to be a lot like following the cloud and the pillar. However, there shall be a distance between you and it of about 2,000 cubits by measurement. Do not come near it, so that you may know that the way by which you shall go, for you have not passed this way before. 2,000 cubits is going to be roughly 3,000 feet, so a little over half a mile. Then Joshua said to the people, consecrate yourselves, for tomorrow Yahweh will do miracles among you. And Joshua spoke to the priests, saying, take up the ark of the covenant and cross over ahead of the people. So they took up the ark of the covenant and went ahead of the people. Now Yahweh said to Joshua, so Yahweh's talking to him face to face here in this case, more than likely. This day I will begin to exalt you in the sight of Israel, so that they will know that just as I have been with Moses, I will be with you. So Yahweh's going to work through Joshua in a way that makes the people give him respect. So you shall command the priests who are carrying the ark of the covenant, saying, when you come to the edge of the waters of the Jordan, you shall stand still in the Jordan. Then Joshua said to the sons of Israel, come here and hear the words of Yahweh your Elohim. And Joshua said, by this you will know that the living Elohim is among you, which is something that in their world they would expect to see him, but they're not. So he's as spiritually among them. And that he will assuredly drive out from you the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Hivites, the Perizzites, the Gigashites, the Amorites, and the Jebusites. So right here, we're going to stop for a minute. Okay, the Canaanites descended from who? Ham, yes. And the Canaanites were known for their polytheistic religion, which included worship of Baal and Asherah. And they were known for their practice of child sacrifice, which is connected to which god? Moloch, yep. And these 3 are going to be a problem for Israel from now until today. The Hittites were an ancient Anatolian people who established an empire in Asia Minor and Syria, and they are noted for their advanced civilization and contributions to the law and governance. Abraham purchased the burial plot for Sarah from Ephron the Hittite. The Amorites, they're a Semitic people. Well, if they're a Semitic people, who did they come from? Shem, yes, sir. So they're actually technically brothers of the Hebrews here. So they're a Semitic people who played a significant role in the history of ancient Near East. They're described as powerful and tall. We're going to find out they're connected with what? The Nephilim. Yes. The Hivites are one of the lesser known groups mentioned in the Bible. The Hivites are noted for their cunning and seen in the account of the Gibeonites who deceived Joshua into making a peace treaty with them. And then the Jebusites were the original inhabitants of Jerusalem. So keeping in mind what we're dealing with here, some of these people living in these people groups in the area of Canaan are blood relatives through Shem of Abraham's descendants, but that doesn't make them friends of Yahweh. So it says, behold, the Ark of the Covenant, Yahweh of all the earth, is crossing over ahead of you into the Jordan. Yahweh of all the earth. Oh, I thought Israel was his portion. What would y'all make of that?
Yahweh of all the earth?
Yeah. Why would that phrase be there? Because it comes up again.
Maybe he's talking about like in the future.
Could be. Could also be a reminder that he made it and it belongs to him no matter what.
Yeah.
No. In the future is right too, but this is a case of, hey, we're going to go conquer Canaan, and this region of Canaan is under other gods. Well, where does Yahweh get the right to go conquer the land that belongs to other gods?
It's his.
Yahweh, there you go, brother. It's his. So he's taking back that which belonged to him. Now, that's divine counsel worldview way of looking at this. If you can find me another explanation that's going to make sense for us theologically, I'll listen. But this is one of the reasons I go with the divine counsel, because that makes sense. It's his to take back. Always has been. Yes, on earth it is in heaven. Now then, take for yourselves 12 men from the tribes of Israel, 1 man for each tribe, and it will come about when the soles of their feet of the priests who are carrying the ark of Yahweh, Yahweh of all the earth, rest in the waters on the Jordan, the waters of the Jordan will be cut off. That is, the waters which are flowing down from above, and they will stand in one heap. So when the people set out from their tents to cross the Jordan with the priests carrying the ark of the covenant before them, and when those who were carrying the ark came up to the Jordan, and the feet of the priests carrying the ark stepped down into the edge of the water, for the Jordan overflows all the banks all the days of harvest. So this is in the spring harvest where the Jordan is going to overflow with spring rains. Then the waters which were flowing down from above stood and rose up in one heap, a great distance away at Adam, the city that is beside Zarethan. So they're crossing down here, going to Gilgal, and the water stops all the way up there. And Zarethan is over here somewhere. Zarethan. And those which were flowing down toward the sea of Arabah, the salt sea down here, were completely cut off. So the people crossed opposite Jericho, and the priest who carried the ark of the covenant of Yahweh stood firmly on dry ground in the middle of the Jordan, while all Israel crossed on dry ground until all the nation had finished crossing the Jordan. Reminiscent of what? Exodus. Also, what is it? Crossing through the waters is a what? It's a typology of a what? Baptism. It's a typology of a baptism. It's how the heck are you going to give a mikvah to an entire nation of 1 million people? That's going to take a long time. But this is a spiritual symbolic bathing for them. They're passing through the water. Yeah, they pass through on dry land and everything, but it's still considered where the Red Sea should be, where the Jordan should be. And if you read elsewhere in scriptures, you'll read of the crossing called passing through the water. That it's thought of that way. So it's kind of like a mikvah. They're being cleansed and gotten ready purified for what's coming. Joshua 4. Now when the entire nation had finished crossing the Jordan, Yahweh spoke to Joshua, saying, take for yourself 12 men from the people, 1 man from each tribe, and command them, saying, take up for yourselves 12 stones from here out of the middle of the Jordan, from the place where the priest's feet are standing firmly, and carry them over with you and lay them down in the encampment where you will spend the night. So Joshua called the 12 men whom he had appointed from the sons of Israel, 1 man from each tribe. And Joshua said to them, cross again to the ark of Yahweh, your Elohim, in the middle of the Jordan, and each of you take up a stone on his shoulder. Okay, so we're not talking about.
We're not talking about.
Yeah, we're not talking about this type of stone.
Yeah.
We're talking about something they got to put on their shoulder to carry. Have anybody ever seen pictures of the Jordan? It's really not a big river. It's kind of like a creek most of the year, but it's rocky in a lot of places. So this is not going to be hard to find a good size 30, 40-pound stone. According to the number of the tribes of sons of Israel. This shall be a sign among you. When your children ask later, saying, what do these stones mean to you? Then you shall say to them that the waters of the Jordan were cut off before the ark of the covenant of Yahweh, when it crossed the Jordan, and the waters of the Jordan were cut off. So these stones shall become a memorial to the sons of Israel forever. Yahweh has a habit of telling us to put up memorials, not of things in heaven,
Right.
but to memorials that remind us of things he's done here in this world. To do what? Remember. And boy, are we good at trying to find ways to forget. What happens when you forget?
Lose
You
faith.
repeat the
You lose faith, yes, but you do what else?
Repeat the bad behavior.
You repeat the bad behavior. It's both. You repeat it because you've lost faith. Okay? And those who are ignorant of history are doomed to what?
Repeat it.
Repeat history.
One thing that I will say about knowing your history, you're supposed to learn your history. You're not supposed to live there.
Yes, that's true. Learn it, don't live there. Yes, ma'am.
The pillars back then, isn't that kind of like how nowadays we put up statues to commemorate events?
Yes, we've done that. Yep. Well, the founding fathers told us to build things right into our architecture so that we could remember them.
Mhm.
The buildings that they built in the Capitol, the Supreme Court's still there. It's been there for a long time. I think that's an original building. They built them differently than we do today. They also built things to last for that purpose, to remember. Verse 8, so the sons of Israel did exactly as Joshua commanded and took up 12 stones from the middle of the Jordan, just as Yahweh spoke to Joshua, according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Israel. And they carried them over with them to the encampment and put them down there. Then Joshua set up 12 stones in the middle of the Jordan as a place where the feet of the priests who carried the Ark of the Covenant were standing, and they are there to this day. Now that's an indication that the book of Joshua was either written later or edited, but also these are not the same 12 stones. This is another 12 stones, because it says Joshua sets these stones up. He doesn't tell the men to bring their whatever. It's another 12 stones. For the priests who carried the ark were standing in the middle of the Jordan until everything was completed that Yahweh had commanded Joshua to speak to the people, according to all Moses had commanded Joshua. And the people hurried and crossed. And when all the people had finished crossing, then the ark of Yahweh and the priests crossed in front of the people. The sons of Reuben, the sons of Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh crossed over in battle formation before the sons of Israel, just as Moses had spoken to them. About 40,000 equipped for war crossed for battle before Yahweh to the desert plains of Jericho. On that day, Yahweh exalted Joshua in the sight of Israel, so that they revered him just as they had revered Moses all the days of his life. So the things he's doing are making the people giving him respect. So they're going to follow him. This is Yahweh's helping Joshua get the leadership, the respect he's going to need for leadership in the coming battle from the people. Now Yahweh said to Joshua, command the priests who carry the ark of the testimony that they come up from the Jordan. So Joshua commanded the priests, saying, come up from the Jordan. It came about when the priests who carried the ark of the covenant of Yahweh had come up from the middle of the Jordan, and soles of the priests' feet were lifted up to the dry ground, that the waters of the Jordan returned to their place and went over all of its banks as before. Now the people came up from the Jordan on the 10th of the first month and camped at Gilgal. What's the significance of the 10th of the first month? What do you do on that day?
Select the lamb.
Select the lamb. I just found that interesting. On the eastern edge of Jericho, and for these 12 stones which they had taken from the Jordan, Joshua set them up at Gilgal. And he said to the sons of Israel, when your children ask their fathers in time to come, saying, what are these stones? Then you shall inform your children, saying, Israel crossed this Jordan on dry ground. For Yahweh your Elohim dried up the waters of the Jordan before you until you had crossed, just as Yahweh your Elohim had done to the Red Sea, which he dried up before us until we had crossed, so that all the people of the earth may know that the hand of Yahweh is mighty, so that you may fear Yahweh your Elohim forever. And we're going to go to chapter 5. Now it came about when all the kings of the Amorites who were beyond the Jordan to the west, and all the kings of the Canaanites who were by the sea, heard how Yahweh had dried up the waters of the Jordan before the sons of Israel until they had crossed, that their hearts melted, and there was no spirit in them any longer because of the sons of Israel. At that time, Yahweh said to Joshua, make for yourself flint knives and circumcise again the sons of Israel a second time. Be careful with this one, because some of them, Joshua's already been circumcised. Can't quite circumcise yourself a second time that way. I think what he's telling them is to renew the covenant. We're going to see that here in just a minute. So Joshua made himself a flint knives and circumcised the sons of Israel at Gibeath Haraloth. This is the reason why Joshua circumcised them. All the people who came out of Egypt who were males, all the men of war, died in the wilderness along the way after they'd come out of Egypt. Okay. Does that mean every male that came out of Egypt died?
No.
No, it just told us all the men of war. So it told us that a lot of the younger men are still alive, probably still alive. How old was Joshua when he came out of Egypt?
40?
He was young.
He was young.
Remember the passage we were reading? We did a study on Abram and Moses and everything. And we remember last week we were reading chapter 1, talks about the young man Joshua would remain in the tent. So he's probably a teenager, probably a young teenager or even younger when they came out of Egypt. And he's basically Moses' servant boy. So it's not, it's not that we like to think sometimes when we read the scriptures, well, everybody that came out of Egypt died, but that's not what the scriptures tell us. But when it says everybody dies and all this happened, the whole land, what you're running into is it's a Middle Eastern characteristic. It's hyperbole. Hyperbole is a big deal over there, man. If you don't, like if you want to say something's bad, you can't just say it's bad. That doesn't mean anything to them. You go, it's very, 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 very worst is bad. Oh, wow, we might have to pay attention. This might actually be bad. And until you've said it 3 or 4 times, they won't take you seriously. It's just the way they live. It's how they communicate. So it shows up in our writing. For all the people who came out were circumcised, but all the people who were born in the wilderness along the way as they came out of Egypt had not been circumcised. And by the way, if you're paying close attention as we continue reading through Joshua, all the people who came out, all Hebrews or all the people? Even the foreigners that were with them got circumcised. They're still with them. And we're going to have hints of this here in a little bit. You'll see that the mixed multitude's still with Israel. For the sons of Israel walked 40 years in the wilderness until all the nation, that is, the men of war who came out of Egypt, perished because they did not listen to the voice of Yahweh, to whom Yahweh had sworn that he would not let them see the land which Yahweh had sworn to their fathers to give us, a land flowing with milk and honey. So their children, whom he raised up in their place, Joshua circumcised, for they were uncircumcised because they had not circumcised them along the way. Excuse me. They had not been doing that in the wilderness. And why wouldn't they have done that in the wilderness? I thought that was part of the law of Moses. So why weren't they doing this while they were in the wilderness? When did Moses tell the Israelites that the covenant was to be observed, start being observed? When they came into the land. So now is when they're supposed to start observing it, because they're coming into the land. It says, now when they had finished circumcising all the nation, they remained in their place in the camp until they had recovered. Then Yahweh said to Joshua, today I have rolled away the shame of Egypt from you. So the name of the place is called Gilgal to this day. There are several Gilgals in the scripture, but that's the big one right there. While the sons of Israel camped at Gilgal, they celebrated the Passover on the evening of the 14th day of the month on the desert plain of Jericho. Okay. There's you another sign of when you're supposed to eat the meal. Because if it was the evening, that's the start of the 14th day, not the end. Remember, it's evening, then morning, one day. Then on the day after the Passover, on that very day, they ate some of the produce of the land, unleavened cakes and roasted grain. And the manna ceased on that day after they had eaten some of the produce of the land, so that the sons of Israel no longer had manna, but they ate some of the yield of the land of Canaan during that year. Now it came about when Joshua was by Jericho, he raised his eyes and looked, and behold, a man was standing opposite him with a sword drawn in his hand. Joshua went to him and said, "Are you for us or for our enemies?" And he said, "No, rather I come now as captain of the army of Yahweh." All right. Joshua didn't recognize this guy. So I don't know who he is. I mean, I got an idea who he is, but Joshua didn't recognize him. He's been speaking face to face with Yahweh. I don't know if it was in the form of a man or in the form of the cloud and the pillar of fire. Don't know, but he has been speaking to Yahweh. So whoever this one is, he doesn't recognize him. And this is Joshua fell on his face to the ground and bowed down and said to him, "What has my Lord to say to his servant?" And the captain of Yahweh's army said to Joshua, "Remove your sandals from your feet, for the place where you are standing is holy." And Joshua did so. Did this man tell Joshua to get up? No. So what's that tell us about this captain of the army of hosts? Yeah, he's deity. He's accepting worship. What's another way we know that this captain of the army of hosts is deity? Holy ground. Yeah. None of the other servant angels ever say they're standing on holy ground. It's only when you are dealing with Yahweh. And if you're in the divine council worldview, that's easy. That's because wherever the king is, there's the council. You know, that's wherever the king is, that's holy right there. So this encounter, elsewhere in the scriptures, I think he's called this individual is called an angel. It could be what we think of as a Christophany, you know, a pre-incarnate appearance of the Messiah. But now we're going to have a question of who's Joshua has been talking to, the Devar, the word of Yahweh? If so, why didn't he recognize this captain? If the captain's an angel, then the angel of Yahweh, I guess maybe Joshua was talking to Yahweh through the cloud and pillar. I have no idea. The scripture doesn't tell us. But a lot of times when the word of Yahweh or the angel of Yahweh shows up, like with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they all recognize it. You know, when you're reading scriptures, they recognize the man when he comes up and when Yahweh comes in human form. So this was the first time Joshua apparently ran into this individual.
I suppose if we're supposed to recognize him, we will.
Yeah,
because you look back to
after he was risen, they didn't recognize him when they were.
Exactly what I was going to say.
So it could be that he disguised himself. Joshua 6. Now Jericho was tightly shut because of the sons of Israel. No one went out and no one came in. But Yahweh said to Joshua, "See, I have handed Jericho over to you with its king and its valiant warriors. And you shall march around the city, all the men of the war, circling the city once. You shall do so for 6 days. Also 7 priests shall carry 7 trumpets of ram's horns in front of the ark. Then on the 7th day you shall march around the city 7 times, and the priests shall blow the trumpets. It shall be that when they make a long blast with the ram's horn, and when you hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall shout with great shout, and the wall of the city will fall down flat, and the people shall go up, everyone straight ahead." Okay. That passage right there, something somewhere's got to stand out to somebody. What fireflies go off for y'all?
Creation story.
Creation, pattern, story. Yep. What else? Come on, people. How many trumpets in the book of Revelation?
7.
Oh, yeah.
And what happens with the 7th trumpet? Yeah, but what else accompanies it? In 1 Thessalonians, where Paul talks about being snatched up, what accompanies the last trumpet? Great shout.
Yeah.
There's a great shout with the last trumpet of Yahweh. You see that pattern here? I do. So that's kind of cool to me. I mean, it's just 7 trumpets and then a loud shout, and it's over, Jack. Jericho comes tumbling down. So Joshua the son of Nun called the priests and said to them, "Take up the ark of the covenant and have 7 priests carry 7 trumpets of ram's horns in front of the ark of Yahweh." Then he said to the people, "Go forward and march around the city, and the armed men shall go on ahead of the ark of Yahweh." And it was so that when Joshua had spoken to the people, the 7 priests carrying the 7 trumpets of ram's horn before Yahweh went forward and blew the trumpets, and the ark of the covenant of Yahweh followed them. And the armed men went ahead of the priest who blew the trumpet, and the rear guard came after the ark, while they continued to blow the trumpets. But Joshua commanded the people, saying, "You shall not shout, nor let your voice be heard, nor let a word proceed from your mouth until the day I tell you. Until I tell you, shout, then you shall shout." So he had the ark of Yahweh taken around the city, circling it once. Then they came into the camp and spent the night in the camp. Now Joshua got up early in the morning, and the priests took up the ark of Yahweh. Then the 7 priests carrying the 7 trumpets of ram's horns in the front of the ark, and Yahweh went on in front of the ark of Yahweh, went on continually and blew the trumpets. And the armed men went ahead of them, and the rear guard came after the ark of Yahweh while they were continuing to blow the trumpets. So the second day they marched around the city once and returned to the camp. They did the same for 6 days. Then on the 7th day, they got up early at the dawning of the day and marched around the city in the same way 7 times. Only on that day did they march around the city 7 times. It's the only time they went around it 7 times. Then at the 7th time, when the priests blew the trumpet, Joshua said to the people, "Shout, for Yahweh has given you the city. But the city shall be designated for destruction. It and everything that is in it belongs to Yahweh. Only Rahab the prostitute and all who are with her in the house shall live, because they hid the messenger whom was sent." Anybody see a pattern or anything here dealing with maybe eschatology? The whole world belongs to Yahweh, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
What if Jericho is symbolic of the world, worldly things? Who's the one that's going to be saved out of Jericho? Those with the scarlet, that reside within the scarlet cover of the scarlet thread. That scarlet thread is going to take us back to Judah and back to the house of David, conceptually, because that's what Judah's known for. The house of David is connected to whom? Messiah. So the scarlet thread is going to be symbolic of Passover. So in the end times, when the 7th trumpet blows and all the enemies of Yahweh are bound up there in Jericho and the walls come tumbling down and everything in it belongs to Yahweh, and it has been condemned to being, it's under the ban, it's going to be destroyed, except that which was protected by the blood of the Messiah. I see a pattern, a foreshadow here that you can only see when you look backwards on it. Am I stretching?
Don't
No.
mark those of my people in their foreheads, and when you come in, do not touch them.
So before I can sack Jerusalem, I got to mark my people. So I don't think I'm stretching here, but you wouldn't see this if you were alive in their day. This would be recounting history. Well, the history of the Messiah hasn't started, and we haven't been given the prophecies that tell us how this is going to end. But as for you, only keep yourselves from the things designated for destruction, so that you do not covet them and take some of the designated things and turn the camp of Israel into something designated for destruction and bring disaster on it. Uh-oh. Now, what's that a warning against?
Leave the things of the world behind.
That and syncretism is running in my head here.
Being ready to go the minute that
Yeah, be ready to go, but also don't try to make holy that which Yahweh has declared unclean.
correct.
We do that a lot
Yeah,
in
that's
our
in the
world.
traditions of man. Big
That's traditions of man. And that can get the camp of Yahweh condemned.
Yeah, we see that.
Yeah,
It's coming.
yeah. Mystery Babylon, anybody? Apostasy.
Mhm.
Did the northern tribes, when the northern kingdom separates from the southern kingdom, who were they worshiping at first? They were still worshiping? No.
No.
Who did they first worship?
No.
Yahweh. They were still worshiping Yahweh, but they set up bulls to do it.
Yes, that's right.
And they set up their own priesthood. They were going to do it their way, but they were still going to worship Yahweh.
Right.
Now, when they did that, whose example were they following? Who set that precedent?
Aaron.
Aaron, yes. Well, what almost happened to Aaron? If it hadn't been for Moses, that was going to get rid of the whole group of them. Okay? What happened to the northern kingdom? Out the pool. And he casts them into the nations because of this. Well, here's a warning in Joshua. Don't do this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm under grace.
Right.
They were under grace back then too, Jack. Didn't help, does it? So there's a warning here for us that we take lightly. Verse 19, but all the silver and gold and articles of bronze and iron are holy to Yahweh. They shall go into the treasury of Yahweh. Yahweh can cleanse anything he wants. So he's saying that's for me, not y'all. So the people shouted, and the priests blew the trumpets. And when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, the people shouted with great shout, and the wall fell down flat, so that the people went up into the city, everyone straight ahead, and they took the city. They utterly destroyed everything in the city, both man and woman, young and old, and ox and sheep and donkey with the edge of the sword. You will not see it here, but it's in the Enochian material, First Enoch and other books. I think it's also in Jasher, if I'm not mistaken. But this is because Jericho is one of the centers of Nephilim bloodlines and the perversion of all flesh. So this is the holy war, which in the ancient Hebrew/Jewish mindset would harken back to Genesis 6, 1-4. So this is the seed of the serpent in their mindset at this time. So this is a holy war between Yahweh's people and not necessarily the whole world, because they were not told to go kill off everybody living in the land of Canaan, only certain bloodlines.
Yep, and that's something I've always, was trying to understand what this ban thing was, but now I'm starting to understand that it's certain bloodlines.
He's not banning. Putting under the ban is not paganism. He didn't tell them to put paganism under the ban.
No.
He told them to put that which was corrupted by the bloodline of the Nakash, the serpent, the Nephilim, under the ban.
Yeah.
In other words, that which is unclean in a way that it is neither part of this world or part of the underworld or part of heaven. It doesn't belong anywhere. It's an abomination. It doesn't belong to his realm of existence. It was created by Satan. Yes, ma'am.
Could that be part of the reason why later on Joshua curses that area?
Could be. Yes.
Also,
not everything that we want to know about is in our scriptures. There's hints of a lot of it, but not everything, because a lot of it's in their oral tradition, and it's in the world, the air they breathe. It's just the culture they live.
Also,
yeah.
Quick comment from Aaron Spikes.
Okay.
How's your spiritual warfare going? Comes to mind.
Yes. How's our spiritual? Because that war is still going on right now, brothers and sisters.
Yes.
22. And Joshua said to the two men who had spied out the land, go into the prostitute's house and bring the woman and all she has out of there, just as you have sworn to her. So the young men who were spies went in and brought out Rahab, her father, her mother, her brothers, and all she had. They also brought out all her relatives and placed them outside the camp of Israel. Then they burned the city with fire and all that was in it. Fire has a connotation of cleansing in Scripture. Yeah. Only the silver and the gold and the articles of bronze and iron they put into the treasury of the house of Yahweh. However, Rahab the prostitute and her father's household and all she had, Joshua spared, and she has lived in the midst of Israel to this day. So her family becomes part of Israel, because she hid the messengers whom Joshua sent to spy out Jericho. The least you have done to me, or to one of these you've done to me. Then Joshua made them take an oath at the time, saying, cursed before Yahweh is the man who rises up and builds this city Jericho. With the loss of the firstborn, he will lay its foundation, and with the loss of his youngest son, he will set up its gates. So when he starts to build, he'll lose his firstborn, and when he's done building, because the gates is one of the last things they would do back then, he'll lose his youngest son. So Yahweh was with Joshua, and his fame was in all the land. I think we can get 7 done. Yeah. We'll do the defeat of Ai. But the sons of Israel acted unfaithfully regarding the things designated for destruction. For Achan, the son of Carmi, the son of Zabdi, the son of Zerah, that Zerah, of the scarlet thread, of the breach. So we're dealing Who comes from the bloodline of Zerah and Perez?
Gotcha.
Messiah's going to come from there, isn't he? Now he's going to come from Perez, and then the breach gets put back together later on, probably in Ireland. But he still traces it back to Judah, Tamar and Judah. So have you paid attention to how many women and people of questionable lineage are in the Messiah's bloodline? Why? If you're a Jew, that's an offense. It's a stumbling block to you. But why? Not just because the women are prostitutes, but what else about all three of these women?
They were not of the tribe of Judah.
They were Gentiles. They were not of Israel. Well, that would really cause a Jew a problem because they're all in the bloodline of the Messiah. Without the Gentiles, the Messiah wouldn't have come. Well, then that means that Israel's going to be saved by a Messiah who owes his life to Gentiles. Do you understand how much of an offense that is to the Pharisees and the religious Jews, even of today?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. But is Yahweh a respecter of persons?
No.
No.
That's the big thing there. He's showing us that he does it.
And the very Israel that's helping to take the Holy Land has the mixed multitude in it,
Right?
which are probably equal to the number of the house of Israel.
Yep.
It says, now Joshua sent men from Jericho to Ai. I think I'm saying that right. Ai,
Yeah.
which is near Beth Haven, east of Bethel, and said to them, go up and spy out the land. So the men went up and spied out Ai. Then they returned to Joshua and said to him, do not have all the people go up. Have only about 2,000 or 3,000 men go up and attack Ai. Do not trouble all the people there, for they are few. So about 3,000 men from the people went up there, but they fled from the men of Ai. And the men of Ai struck and killed about 36 of their men and pursued them from the gates as far as Shebarim, and struck them at the mountainside, and the hearts of the people melted and became like water. Then Joshua tore his clothes and fell to the ground on his face before the ark of Yahweh until the evening, both he and the elders of Israel, and they put dust on their heads. And Joshua said, what's the dust signify? They're mourning. It's like somebody died. And Joshua said, O Yahweh Elohim, why did you ever bring this people across the Jordan only to hand us over to the Amorites to eliminate us? If only we had been willing to live beyond the Jordan. O Yahweh, what can I say, since Israel has turned their back before their enemies? For the Canaanites and all the inhabitants of the land will hear about it, and they will surround us and eliminate our name from heaven. And what will you do for your great name? That's a little bold right there.
Yeah.
Joshua's trying to goad Yahweh into doing something to help him.
I feel like I'd be struck a
Well,
Yeah.
But that makes sense because if you look through the history of all this, that's why Yahweh
Yes.
has done all these things, is to make his name great. And I mean that's what terrified the people of Jericho.
Yes.
They knew the name of Yahweh. They
Yes.
knew the history of what he had done.
So if he's humble when he pleads your great name, he's showing allegiance.
Yes. He's saying,
He's also
Yes,
copying
yes,
what he
yes.
learned from Moses. Yes.
he is.
So Yahweh said to Joshua, stand up. Why is it that you have fallen on your face? Israel has sinned, and they have also violated my covenant, which I have commanded them. And they have even taken some of the things designated for destruction, and have both stolen and kept it a secret. Furthermore, they have also put them among their own things. Therefore, the sons of Israel cannot stand against their enemies. In other words, that still stands for us today. If we're going to bring unclean things into our service and our worship and our life with Yahweh, we're going to have a hard time standing. Yes, ma'am.
I just noticed before they went to war, they didn't consult Yahweh that time, did they?
They didn't have to. He's the one who told them that. Oh, and there was Yahweh didn't tell him. Joshua sent. He did that on his own. Good catch.
Huh.
At least the scripture doesn't say he was sent. Did it on his own.
So if they had asked ahead of time, then maybe.
Maybe it would have been different. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe.
Yahweh would
would've-
have said,
yep.
hold on, before you go do that, you got a problem to take care of.
So therefore, the sons of Israel cannot stand against their enemies. They turn their backs before their enemies because they have become designated for destruction. So when you mix that which is an abomination with Yahweh's people and what is his, you end up, instead of making it holy, you make yourself unholy. I will not be with you anymore unless you eliminate from your midst the things designated for destruction. Stand up, consecrate the people, and say, consecrate yourselves for tomorrow, because Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, has said this. There are things designated for destruction in your midst, Israel. You cannot stand against your enemies until you have removed the designated things from your midst. So in the morning you shall come forward by your tribes, and it shall be that the tribe which Yahweh selects by lot shall come forward by families, and the family which Yahweh selects shall come forward by households. And the household which Yahweh selects shall come forward by man, and it shall be that the one who is selected with the things designated for destruction shall be burned with fire, he and all that belongs to him, because he has violated the covenant of Yahweh, and because he has committed a disgraceful thing in Israel, the sin of Achan. So Joshua got up early in the morning and brought Israel forward by tribes, and the tribe of Judah was selected. So he brought the family of Judah forward, and he selected the family of the Zerahites. Then he brought the family of the Zerahites forward, man by man, and Zabdi was selected. And he brought the household forward, man by man, and Achan, son of Carmi, son of Zabdi, son of Zerah, from the tribe of Judah was selected. Then Joshua said to Achan, my son, I implore you, give glory to Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, and praise to him. And tell me now what you have done. Do not hide it from me. Sounds a lot like Moses there. So Achan answered Joshua and said, truly, I have sinned against Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel. And this is what I did. When I saw among the spoils a beautiful robe from Shinar. What's the significance about Shinar?
Where everything all started.
Mm-hmm. Connected with what other city? Babylon. Yes. When I saw a robe from Shinar, 200 shekels of silver, and a bar of gold, 50 shekels in weight, then I wanted them and took them, and behold, they are hidden in the ground inside my tent, with the silver underneath. So Joshua sent messengers, and they ran to the tent, and behold, it was hidden in his tent with the silver underneath it. So they took them from inside the tent and brought them to Joshua and to all the sons of Israel, and they laid them out before Yahweh. Then Joshua and all Israel with him took Achan, the son of Zerah, the silver, the robe, the bar of gold, his sons, his daughters, his oxen, his donkeys, his sheep, his tent, and all that belonged to him, and they brought them up to the valley of Achor. We're going to come back to that. And Joshua said, why have you brought disaster on us? One man can ruin the nation. Yahweh will bring disaster on you this day. And all Israel stoned them with stones, and they burned them with fire after they had stoned them with stones. Why'd they have to kill them first? Would it have been legal to just burn them alive?
No,
Why?
the crime doesn't,
Mm-mm.
well.
No human sacrifice to Yahweh.
Oh, yeah.
So you have to kill them first. Otherwise, it would have been seen, at least by outsiders, as a human sacrifice to Yahweh.
Right.
And he would have been no different than Moloch. And then they erected over him a large heap of stones that stands to this day. And Yahweh turned from the fierceness of his anger. Therefore, the name of that place today is called the Valley of Achor to this day. Anybody know the significance of the Valley of Achor? Means trouble or disturbance in Hebrew. The name reflects the consequences of sin and disobedience to Yahweh's commands. The Valley of Achor is also mentioned in later prophetic literature as a symbol of hope and restoration in Hosea 2:15. God promises to transform the Valley of Achor into a door of hope for Israel. It says, quote, there I will get, Israel is going to be given a land of rest, the house of Israel, a land of rest. There I will give her back her vineyards and make the Valley of Achor a door of hope. This, if you read the whole passage, this is not the Holy Lands. So he's going to give her back her vineyards. in a different land. There she will respond as she did in the days of her youth and is in the days she came up out of Egypt. Hosea 2:15. Theological significance. The account of Achor serves as a powerful reminder of the seriousness of sin and the necessity of obedience to Yahweh's commands. Achan's transgression and its consequences underscore the communal nature of sin and its impact on the entire community of Israel at that time under that covenant. Does this still apply under the new covenant? Every man dies for his sins now, and the children's teeth are not set on edge because of the grapes, sour grapes that their fathers eat. Back under the covenant with Moses, it's communal. This is another one of the things that's better about the new covenant. Now it's individualistic. You pay for your own sins. The sins of the crimes of the father will not taint the blood of the children. And this is where we're going to stop for today. Anything else that I might have missed that anybody want to bring up? Questions, comments? Are we doing all right with this study so far?
Yep.
Cool. The way I'm doing it work for everyone?
Absolutely.
All right. So we'll begin in Joshua 8 next week, and we'll just read until we run out of time. And we'll keep going with it. And then I'm thinking after Joshua, before we jump into Judges, I might take a look at Zechariah. Much the same way we're doing right now.
Yeah.
I read most of Zechariah this morning, and I'm like, got that. What the heck does that mean? Okay, got that, what the heck? So I was having fun with Zechariah today. Zechariah is not all that difficult if you understand what it is he's digging at. I'm not saying I have all the details, but the general picture, I know what he's after. So, anything else?
No.
We're good.